The teller. The teller. The teller.
It's another day. Left jab, right jab. This is MMA. Mixed martial arts, quick body parts, undefeated when I pick 'em. Who the champ, who the victim? Looking in my crystal ball, I predict the winner. Never stop fighting. If you lose, keep your chin up. Know how the game go. I'm a smart fella. Welcome to the show. This the MMA fortune teller.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller. The teller. The teller. The teller.
Before we get into today's episode, I want to give a very special shout out to my boy Ryan Cali. That's the dude that was just spitting those bars on the new intro video, a song that I like to call Smart Fella. You guys let me know what you guys thought about it, if you guys liked it as much as I did. I think the lyrics are dope if you really look into it. It's all about MMA, betting on MMA. It's pretty cool to hear a song that's it's about something that I'm so passionate about, and I'm sure a lot of you guys feel the same way. And at the same time, this dude Ryan's he's serious, with his lyrics and whatnot. And you guys can go check him out on Instagram at Ryan_Ada_control. Dude has links to his website, RyanAdaControl.com, and also has some links to samples of some of his songs. A song I really like. You guys got to check him out, man. He brings that same energy he did in the intro video over here into all his songs, man. This song, Write My Life Down, came out really good. Go check that out. He has a link right in his bio on his Instagram. So just wanted to show some love over there to Ryan, man. I appreciate what you did for me over here. And everyone that's watching, man, go support Ryan. Go hit that follow button for him. Check him out and whatnot, and support the family. What is up, you guys? The Teller coming in for UFC 251. I'm extremely excited to get into this card. This card's obviously stacked beyond all means. I mean, look at the top 3, top 4 fights are ridiculous. Every single one of those fights can be headlining their own card. So just the fact that the UFC threw all these fights together, it's really exciting. And but of course, now remember, this fight card's not taking place this upcoming weekend, but the following weekend. I know the majority of you guys probably know that, but I'm sure we got some casuals, peeking in here nowadays, being that there's no other sports really to watch and gamble on. So I'm sure some of the degenerates are creeping in my videos and whatnot and looking for some spots to make some money. So you guys are welcome too. There's no shame in it. We're all a family here. Join the family, and not only just in regards to betting, but join the sport of MMA, because MMA. In particular, the UFC, of course, they're the big leagues. In my opinion, it's the most exciting sport on planet Earth, period. So for those of you guys that are just here because there's no soccer or basketball or baseball going on, stay with us long term. We'd love to have you guys long term too. So now if you don't know, this card, like I said, this card is spectacular, very top heavy, but overall the card is it's a very good card. And we're going to be going into each and every fight here in a minute. Before we do that, we always touch up on the latest things in the fight game. Of course, the card that we just had take place last night, which was a really exciting fight card, especially the main event. But we'll start at the bottom and we'll work our way up. Youssef Zalal did take out Jordan Griffin. Jordan Griffin, of course, he broke the news about this fight, just about a week and a half ago or so. I was definitely pulling for Jordan to win that fight, so a little disappointed he didn't pull the victory off. I did have Jordan winning the first round, but yeah, I did think he lost the last two. The judges hit that one on the head, probably 29-28 for Zalal. Not overly impressed with Zalal, but he did his thing. In the next fight, Kay Hansen, man, you guys heard the story about some guy that had like 38K on her. In my opinion, she lost the first round pretty convincingly, came back strong in the second, and then in the third round, she pulled off the submission too. So that girl's only 20 years old. Sky's the limit with her. Tanner Boser, that guy looked like a real threat to the division. Came in 10 pounds lighter, and he's calling the shots. It looks like it's going to be him and Maurice Green next. So, and we'll be getting to Maurice Green here in a second. Kamaru, man. Kamaru took out Luis Pena. I was very surprised to see that. The first round kind of took place like possibly I might have saw something like that going down. Kama has good striking and whatnot. I thought that Pena was going to grind him out. Pena did that in the second round. But then once the third round came, It was very strange. It's like Kamaru got a resurgence. He was stuffing the takedowns, and Pena looked to be the one that was gassing out. And, he stuck his neck in a guillotine and got finished. So wasn't happy about that. I had a little parlay with Pena and Perry. That's the second fight card in a row that, things, we just missed a little bet there. Of course, the week before at Roosevelt Roberts, he dropped the ball, had a parlay with him. Of course, hit the other leg of Bobby Green, and now hit the Mike Perry fight, but didn't hit this one. So that happens sometimes. Sometimes you get some crazy stuff going on. I do think Luis Pena, if they ran that back a good amount of times, I think Pena would win the majority of them. But not as convincingly as I thought, man. Kamaru is a true threat, so shout out to Worthy because he's working on his takedown defense. He has a hell of a reach, and he's quick, and he's a nasty striker. So he's actually going to be giving a lot of guys trouble moving forward. He impressed me. I thought that he might have had a little bit of a hole in his game in regards to the grappling. Takedown defense was there. And this card, right after that fight, back to back, I know it was a big upset for a lot of people. Some people I talked to actually put Sean Woodson in a parlay. So, that was a tough one for all them too. I would have never touched that fight personally. I just felt like Sean Woodson, is not proven enough to even have been near where the line was. It was ridiculous. An extreme favorite. Takashi Sato had the short notice opponent, finished him, convincingly and quickly. How about the Brendan Allen versus Kyle Dawkins fight? That was an exciting fight. Very exciting. High level BJJ competition right there. I mean, those guys were transitioning left and right. I think Kyle Dawkins is going to be in the UFC for quite some time, and I think he's going to be getting a lot of submissions in the UFC. So we'll be keeping an eye on him. And Brendan Allen, he's making a case to move towards the top of the division. He's an excellent Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, but he has that pop too, right? You saw him throw that knee up the middle, drop Dawkins. He has that power. We saw it on Dana White's Contender Series with the hook. He's a stud. Maurice Green was, possibly going to lose that fight, depending how you looked at it, because he probably won the first 2 rounds, but Jean Vellante was on his way to at least get a 10-8, so possibly a draw, and he almost got that finish. And then all of a sudden we look up, and Maurice Green's getting like some type of modified choke from bottom, they want to call it, some type of Ezekiel choke or whatnot. Mike Perry went out there and dominated Mickey Gall like I knew he was. I ended up throwing him with some parlays and whatnot, just to cash on that a little bit for some fun. But my main play was him parlay with Pena. Of course, that was spoiled. And then I went big on Dustin Poirier. That was the main play for me this weekend. Went very big on Dustin Poirier. Had a lot of money riding on him. I called it. I told you guys Poirier would thrive in the later rounds, and I felt that he had more heart. He's more battle tested. I know Dan Hooker is an extremely tough fighter, and he's been all 5 rounds too with a guy like Paul Felder. But Poirier is a different level type of fighter, and I think maybe we'll see Poirier fight. I don't know. I mean, who do you guys want to see Poirier fight next? Comment below. Who do you guys have Poirier fight next? I thought maybe Tony Ferguson. I think we all know how that fight goes. I think Poirier is going to do the same thing to Ferguson that we saw Justin Gaethje do. So that's how I feel about that. And that sums up the card that just took place last night. Some other things I want to touch upon real quick before we get into UFC 251. We got just a quick sample, man, for those of you guys that tuned in to the Fight Companion. It's a blast, man. We had different people popping in left and right throughout the main event. The main card. And it was a true blast. So shout out to everybody that stopped in. And if you guys haven't checked it out yet, I highly recommend it. We go live for the main card of every event, man, right here at the Penny Bar. And you guys are all more than welcome to hop on, or you guys just hang out in the comment section too. So you guys are always welcome to do that. And, just want to let you guys also know, man, I highly appreciate all the people that have been hitting that subscribe button. If you haven't done it yet, please do. Creeping up on that 2,000 subscribers. So, I'm really appreciating all the support I've been getting from you guys. Hopefully by the time this fight card takes place in 2 weeks, this will be well over 2K, and we'll be working our way up to 3K. So I appreciate all of you guys. If you haven't already, check me out on Instagram as well too, man. I'm always posting stuff. I post my fight card pics. Always posting interesting material here, man. Little clips from my interviews and whatnot. And I'll try to make it even more interesting as we move forward. Creeping up on that 5K followers. I'm happy for that too, man. And I appreciate all you guys. If you haven't, go follow me over there. And let's see. Last thing, just to touch upon this too, before we move on. I'm still going to be doing the raffle. For those of you guys that are wondering, I've been building up the names. So if you guys already entered, man, you're good. You guys are going to be in the hat. If you guys have not entered the raffle yet, all you got to do is just refer 3 friends to follow me on Instagram and 3 people to subscribe to the channel here, and just let me know that you did that and whatnot, and put your name in the raffle, and I'm going to be giving a free month of my picks to you guys, and I'll be there for any questions you have or whatnot, and give you any type of any if you guys have any type of questions about specific fights or anything, I'm here to give you my peace of mind on that. So appreciate everyone that's already joined that too and has been looking out. And yeah, that pretty much wraps all that up. Here's the lines. Some heavy favorites on this card, right? Amanda Ribas, very high. A lot of fighters in the -200 range, and but a lot of interesting fights. So there's only one thing to do at this point. We got to get right into the card, and we're gonna start off with Marcin Day and Davey Grant. So let's see. There we go. We got the Hawaiian fighter in Marcin Day taking on Davey Grant, fighting out of the United Kingdom, out of England. Now, this is an interesting fight, right? Because when I see Davey Grant, not to disrespect the guy, but when I see him on a card, I tend to try to fade this guy at particular spots. We could pull up what he's done as of recently. I really don't think that Davey Grant's really on the level. I'm surprised he's actually still throwing down in the UFC. But I guess, he kind of fits the description for this fight card. It's kind of out towards his way. And he is coming off a victory against Popov. That was a split decision victory, but Manny Bermudez just styled on him, got the early submission. The Damian Stasiak loss, that wasn't a good look. Stasiak's not UFC caliber, that wasn't a good look. And then he did take out Marlon Chito Vera back in 2016, but that was a completely different Marlon Chito Vera. You know what would happen now. But the thing is, he's very stiff. I know he has decent jiu-jitsu. He's aggressive at times, but the striking is really just not there. Like I said, I do tend to try to fade this guy in particular spots. But then you take a look at his opponent, Marcin Day, a guy that's also an aggressive fighter, but he's really not in the level either. Coming off a loss to Pingwen Liu, the Chinese fighter. That fight was not impressive at all. Even though he was on a 3-fight winning streak going into that. This is a fight where you could really look to fade both of these guys. You pull up the line. People are heavy on Marcin Day, and I kind of understand why people are choosing him to win this fight, but I do feel like that line may be a little bit high for a guy like Marcin Day. I do have Marcin Day to win the fight, but like I said, as far as where the line's at, I'm not really crazy about it. Just to touch upon Davey Grant, he was on The Ultimate Fighter, for those of you guys that remember. He's been around the block for a long time. He's a crafty dude and whatnot, so but like I said, I'm not going to pick him here. I'm going to go with the Hawaiian Marcin Day. I just think that he's a little bit more tenacious in there, a little bit more coordinated with his striking, and I think that he probably edges this fight, but I wouldn't feel overly confident necessarily in picking Marcin Day here. All right. Now, in the next fight, we got some chicks throwing down, right? Vanessa Melo taking on Carol Rosa, 2 Brazilian chicks throwing down. Carol Rosa is a tough chick. We just saw her have an impressive performance not too long ago. 12-3. She's only 25 years old. She's definitely going through some learning experiences. She's growing and becoming a better fighter. Did have that loss against Melissa Gatto. Some of you guys are familiar with her. She's a decent fighter. And since then, though, 3 victories in a row. Had that win over Laura Procopio. Let's say that one more time. Procopio. And that was a split decision victory. That was a good fight. It was an entertaining fight. Now taking on Vanessa Melo. Vanessa Melo is a girl, 10-7, not an overly impressive record. And 32 years old, coming off 2 losses, but Irene Aldana's tough. Tracy Cortez, that wasn't a good look for her here. Tracy Cortez came from Dana White's Contender Series as well. Remember seeing her have a performance over there. So two tough chicks. Don't get it twisted. Both those chicks are tough. Of course, you guys know the deal with Irene Aldana, very tough fighter. But yeah, people don't like the way that this record looks. Now the line, in my opinion, from what I've been seeing, I'm not crazy about it as far as taking Carol Rosa to win. I mean, I do like her to win the fight, but 2-1 odds. We talked about that recently on the Fight Companion. You can eye particular female fights. Sometimes, if you get the better fighter, you don't have that chance as likely, for that flash knockout to spoil your victory if your fighter's winning and she's the better fighter. But sometimes these female fights tend to play out pretty closely too. Let's not forget that. A lot of times, they just kind of simply play out closely. They really do. A lot of female fights, not all of them, but a lot of them do. I'm going to go with Karol Rosa to win the fight, but 2-1 odds, got to see. And again, you guys, I want to let you guys know also, I'm going to be actually doing another breakdown video for this card as well. This is more of a preliminary. Look at her doing a little stretch. This is more of like a preliminary, opening up to the card. I'm going to do another one touching upon the card again next week. I'm going to keep prying into fight tape, but definitely got to go with Karol Rosa to win the fight from what I've seen so far. All right. This next fight is going to be an exciting one. I'm really excited for this card. Like I said, not just the very big names towards the top of the card. I know it's very top heavy. It's really backloaded in a lot of ways, but there's some exciting fights that are also taking place, through the middle of this card, and we're creeping up to those fights now that we're going to be talking about. And we got some new UFC newcomers, these guys that show a lot of promise. Excited to talk about a couple of these guys here in a minute. And we're going to start here. Rulian Pavia, this guy's a very entertaining fighter. If you haven't seen his fight, who was it? The guy he just fought not too long ago, Rogerio Bontoran. I had Bontoran to win that fight, but the way that fight played out, it was extremely exciting. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch the tape on it. I just rewatched some of it earlier. That was just a balls of the wall type of fight. Bontoran ended up getting the victory. Not to say that Bontoran wasn't going to win the fight anyway, but it was a fight that was really going back and forth. It could have really went any way, the way it was going. And, Bontoran got that nasty cut on Pava. You see the eye right there, and it was bad. But Pava, he didn't care about that in the least bit, man. He was still ready to throw down. Pava is very well-rounded, good jiu-jitsu game, very aggressive striking. And, he's a guy that I think is a very skilled fighter. Now he's taking on this guy, Zhalgas Zhumagulov. And this guy, pretty solid record, 13-3. And he's a Kazakhstan fighter. He's a Kazaki, 31 years old. And those guys are tough out there, man. These guys are really tough. These guys are in the heart. They were in the heart of so many wars, right? The East and the West. These guys were just in the battlegrounds, and these guys just end up being really tough. I guess that Mongol type blood, all those guys out there. And was it Genghis Khan, right? I bet you this guy has some of Genghis Khan's genes flowing through his blood. They say that Genghis Khan, he has at least almost 2 to, I think, what's the stat? I'm throwing it out there, but they say if you take almost anybody in that population, those specific areas, almost 5 to 10% of them might have Genghis Khan genes because he was just banging every single woman out there. But those guys were tough dudes, man. The Mongols were very tough. But the teller's rambling here. Let's get to the fight. As of recently, what I've seen from him on tape, did have the victory over Ali Bagotinov. Ali Bagotinov, man, if you guys remember this guy, he actually fought for the belt. He also popped for steroids. Very tough flyweight fighter. He had knockout power in his hands, very strong grappling. I'm sure he's still juicing wherever he is now. Fight Nights Global, I'm sure they're not strict with the drug testing. So, that's one thing to take into consideration. But Ali is a tough fighter, so that's an impressive victory there. And then also took out Tyson Nam, who we saw how good he looked in his last fight. But I'm not overly impressed with Nam. Even just I know he had a nice win there, but overall he's a decent fighter. He's okay. Other than that, I looked through a lot of these guys. These are guys that are on the scene over there. Some of them have decent records, some of them not so much. But on tape, you take a look at him on tape. This is the fight with Ali Bagotinov. Ali Bagotinov is getting some takedowns and whatnot, but he continuously worked back up to his feet. His striking is decent. Everything I've seen from him with his striking, he's very poised on the feet. I think he has a striking background, and I think that's where he's going to look to try to pull this fight off. I think he'll try to stuff the takedowns. I think Zhalgas, very accurate with the punchers. I think that's his way to go. I think he has some kickboxing experience, I believe. And but I'm leaning Pava here, man. Pava, like I said, just an extremely aggressive fighter. Good jiu-jitsu. He's young. You know, he looks to be like one of those up and coming Brazilian stars, right? 19-3. He's already been through the ringer, only at 24 years old. I like his frame for the weight class. You know, he's ripped, 5'8", and definitely going to go at Pava here, right? I'm going to take him to win this fight. I think he's just a little bit more proven at this point. And I like the competition that he's been in there with, too. All right. Going right back to the card, man. Really excited to some of these fights we're going to be getting to here in a minute. So who do we got next? We got Marcin Tybura taking on Alexander Romanov. This is a good fight, man. Heavyweight fight, some big boys. And these are some of the guys I'm talking about, right? The UFC newcomers that are coming in with undefeated records from very, very, very tough parts of the world, man. Moldova. There's another fighter in the UFC in the light heavyweight division. His name is slipping my mind. Very tough guy. He needs to polish up his skills a little bit, but these guys are just natural fighters, man. A lot of these guys. And we're going to get to some of the other ones I'm talking about later on the card. So now we take a look at Alexander Romanov. This is a guy that comes in pretty heavy. You know, you take a look at him. Show you a little clip of this. Watch this. Look at the takedown. Goes in. Look at this. Look at the way he drops this opponent. I mean, I don't know how skilled his opponent was, but this guy has a lot of strength. I like this little slam. Boom. And this is a guy that everything I've seen from him on tape, you know, he's going to keep pressing forward. That's what you're going to get from him. He's going to continuously come at you. Pretty good grappling. I don't know what his exact grappling credentials are. He's a real heavyweight, though, has a lot of weight on him. And everything I've seen from him on tape in the in the cage is, you know, he's a pretty decent wrestler, some good technique, and he's very aggressive. Marcin Tybura, you guys know the deal with Marcin Tybura. He's a guy that's, you know, he's really a striker, right? He has very flexible kicks. He'll throw his leg up there, man. He'll head kick you. Decent boxing. But this is a guy that's dropped the ball time and time again, in my opinion. You know, look at this. He's only won 2 of his last 6 fights. He took out Stefan Struve and Sergey Spivak. Not really overly impressive opponents at this point where he fought them. And then he lost to Augusto Sakai, Shamil, the Derek Lewis fight, right? That was a fight he was looking good, and then he completely crumbled. You know, he just completely crumbled, and wasn't a good look for him. And then you take a look at the guys he was even beating before that. Andrei Arlovsky, who was really losing a lot of fights around then. Luis Enrique, you know, he never rose to the occasion either. Victor Pesta. So, you know, he even lost to Timothy Johnson. I'm really not high on Tybura. Alexander Romanov, as we talked about, you know, solid frame, a little bit flabby, but he's a big dude, man. This is a strong dude. And he goes by the name of King Kong, fighting out of Moldova. I'm going to go with him to win this fight. I think that he's gonna have more of a fighter's mentality when he steps inside the octagon. Now, as far as, you know, the striking on the feet, if they're going toe to toe, he has to be a little bit careful. Watch out for Tybura's head kicks and whatnot. You know, but he's gonna go out there and try to take Tybura's head off. And I think the longer the fight goes, I think it's better for him as long as his cardio holds up. I think he'll get some takedowns, and I think he'll look to break Tybura, which we've seen Tybura. Like I said, we've seen him fold. So. You take a look at the line, it's basically a pick'em. The last time I looked at it, basically a pick'em. I mean, you could pick Romanov's right around -115, Tybura 105. You know, but Tybura's been there, right? Tybura has been there. We'll give him that. He's been in the octagon, has more fights and whatnot as a professional as well. But that's not going to be enough for me to pick Tybura here. But you know, we'll see how that fight goes. Heavyweight fight, a lot of variables on the line in this fight, so we'll see how it all plays out. You see, this is when Tybura folded after he was winning the entire fight, and Lewis did what he does best, right? He comes back from out of nowhere and he pulls the fight off. Let's see. Yep. So that's the pick, man. Taking the Moldovan fighter, Alexander Romanov. Excited to see if he's on the level, right? It's exciting for me to see these new UFC newcomers. It's exciting for me to see how they perform, you know, against UFC caliber opponents. And now, boom, we're going to be talking about another one here in a second. Leonardo Santos taking on Roman Bogatov, the undefeated Russian fighter. He's 10-0. Another guy that's he's very fit. Well, I shouldn't say another guy. I don't want to say, you know, the last opponent was fit, but this guy's fit. What they do have in common, though, is they're both very aggressive. These are two very aggressive fighters that like to push the pace. That's what you're going to see from Bogatov as well. This guy's going to be pushing the pace. He's going to be in your face. Leonardo Santos, you know about this guy. Santos has been around the block for a long time. He was even in the old UFC video game. You see him here against James Vick. You know how that fight would turn out if they ever fought. Now remember, Leonardo Santos is a guy. He has very, very high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu credentials. This guy is nasty on the mat, man. Really long limbs. He's a very dangerous fighter. And then, he had a long layoff. He had a little bit of some injuries and whatnot. And, he made his way back to the octagon. What does he do as soon as he comes back? All of a sudden, he looks astonishing on the feet with his striking. Goes out there, knocks out Stevie Ray in the first round. So, that was a really dangerous look for him, in my opinion. And that was coming off a 3-year layoff. So think about that, man. A 3-year layoff, coming back, knocking out Stevie Ray like that. And I like what I've seen from Roman Bogatov. But, it's going to be really hard to pick against Leonardo Santos right now from what I've seen from him. I just think that he's a very skilled fighter. The striking looks like it's up to par now, and the jiu-jitsu's nasty. You're going to see a lot of submissions from Leonardo Santos inside the octagon. And just to take a look at the Russian's resume here. This guy, Mikhail Labot, I don't know if you guys remember him. He was a UFC veteran. He had one fight in the UFC. He lost, the French fighter. Not really the most impressive opponent. And then if you look at a lot of these guys' records, I've went through them. I've looked at some of the tape and whatnot. Not really the most impressive opponents. So something to take into consideration too. I got to go at Leonardo Santos to win the fight. You take a look at the line, Leonardo Santos. There's money coming in on him right now too. Creeping up to minus 200 in some books. So, something to think about. And maybe it's too high though, I don't know, minus 200. Now his opponent, the Russian fighter, he's definitely a capable fighter. Don't sleep on this guy, Roman Bogatov. Very aggressive if he can, and actually has decent submission skills himself too. See him pulling off an arm triangle there. Very, very fit. This guy looks like a pit bull. But I don't think he'll be able to hold his own with the grappling. Leonardo Santos, but very aggressive, very, very aggressive. But so I was saying, if he could avoid the submissions, decent striking, maybe he pushes the pace, and you got to be careful with that too, right? And but Leonardo Santos to win the fight. All right. Some European fighters here. This is an interesting one, right? I've been back and forth on this fight for a little bit. I think I settled in with the pick here though. Danny the Hatchet Henry. Excuse me one second. Danny Henry's a guy. I think about that one fight that he had against Hakeem Dawodu, and he looked so impressive in that fight. Caught him with a very crisp straight right, and followed up with the nasty guillotine. And there it is there. And it was disgusting. Hakeem didn't even have a chance to barely tap out. He still went unconscious. And when I saw that fight, I was like, this guy is the real deal. But if you take a look at him, you take a look at his resume, I'm not overly impressed with him. I think that fight kind of just made him look to be a little bit better than I think that he is, if you want me to tell you the truth. Dan Ige went out there, destroyed him, but Dan Ige is a top-level fighter, a real top-level fighter in my opinion, even though he lost his last fight to Barbosa, but whatever, still looked impressive. But you take a look at the Daniel Tamer fight. Daniel Tamer was wobbling him at the beginning of that fight, and I'm not high on Daniel Tamer. This is the older brother, not David Tamer, who's the better fighter in my opinion. And then you take a look at some of these guys that he was out there finishing, not impressive opponents. Lost to Egi Cabeza, did redeem that fight. He got the victory with the Darshoke and then the rematch. But still, I mean, these guys aren't on the level, in my opinion. And now you're taking on a guy in Makwan Amirkhani, who is a very capable fighter. Makwan is a guy has very good jiu-jitsu. He's aggressive. He's unorthodox with his striking. He's going to be trying to attack you in all types of wild ways. Did get finished by Shane Burgos in the third round, but still, he brought that fight. Shane Burgos is a very skilled opponent. We're talking about a different level of opponent, in my opinion. And the Chris Fishgold fight. Chris Fishgold is a very impressive grappler, very strong grappler with good submission skills, and that was a very good fight. He got the choke on Chris Fishgold, took out Jason Knight. That was a very entertaining fight. If you're looking for an entertaining fight, you could run that one back. They were talking crap to each other the whole time in there. Arnold Allen, very skilled opponent. So I mean, you take a look at his two losses, Shane Burgos and Arnold Allen, very skilled opponents. So no real shame in that. And then he goes out there and handles business against guys like Chris Fishgold, Jason Knight, Mike Wilkinson, remember Andy Ogle, the old Ultimate Fighter, the tough veteran. That's when he really put his name on the map. Makwan. He went out there and hit him with the flying knee. It was disgusting. The crowd went crazy. That really set that card off. It was over in Europe. And yeah, Makwan Amirkhani, man. This guy always comes in good shape. Like I said, very well rounded. Good jiu-jitsu game. Don't sleep on his jiu-jitsu game. And I gotta lean. I'm gonna pick Makwan to win this fight. I thought I wanted to pick Danny Henry. I thought, okay, maybe a possible dog to throw in the selections, but if it's not there, I'm not gonna pick it. Okay, if I run the tape back, I will never pick a fighter to win the fight who I just do not see winning the fight. He may win the fight. Everybody has a chance, but when I play this fight out of my head, I just see Makwan coming in strong for this fight. I think he'll be more fluid on the feet. He'll be a little bit more game, if you know what I mean. He's game. He's going to be coming in for the victory. So I got him to win that fight. All right, let's see what we got next. I know we got some exciting ones coming up. Yeah, this is a good one, man. Zaleski dos Santos taking on Muslim Salikhov. If you guys forgot about Muslim, he's coming off a very, very impressive performance in his last fight. Took out a very skilled fighter too, man. The king of Kung Fu. Took out... Actually, I was talking about the Nordine Taleb fight. So he got that knockout in the first round. Then he even got another victory over another impressive opponent, and Loreno Staropoli. That's the Argentinian fighter, who shows to have a lot of promise in the game. So, yeah, man, 3-fight win streak after losing to Alex Garcia. This guy has a kickboxing background, very good striker. He's going to outclass a lot of guys on the feet. He's very, very poised and very accurate, man. He'll take you out on the feet. I think a lot of people were thrown off by him in the beginning because of his nickname. You think of Kung Fu, you think of guys that are training traditional martial arts like that are not really, you want those guys with the wrestling background or the Muay Thai background and whatnot, but don't get it twisted, man. This guy, he's well-rounded at this point now too, but he's a specialist with the hands and whatnot. Very dangerous striker. And then you take a look at his opponent. Zaleski, the deal with Zaleski. Zaleski can knock you out in highlight reel fashion. He also has nasty jiu-jitsu. He gets the nickname Capoeira for a reason. This guy will hit you with all types of crazy stuff. The one that comes to mind, I don't know if you guys remember this fight, took out, what's this guy's name? He used to go by Tarzan. What was his name? Shawn Strickland. Right there. Shawn Strickland. How could I forget that? Shawn Strickland, actually, man, my thoughts are out to him too, because I think he has something going on right now where he doesn't know if he'll be able to fight again. Some health situation. I hope he'll be back. He's a very skilled fighter. But I bring up this fight just to show you how dangerous Dos Santos can be. And he hit him with a spinning heel kick to the temple, and then he finished him. Very dangerous fighter, man, is Dos Santos. And here's the knockout from Muslim, taking out Nordine Taleb. Nordine Taleb is a very skilled Muay Thai practitioner too. But like I said, Muslim he was smooth on the feet, went out there and knocked him out. We take a look at the line here. Just about to pick him. And that's very understandable, right? Because you could go either way with this fight. And I've been back and forth on this fight. I do feel that Dos Santos has the edge if it goes to the ground with the jiu-jitsu and whatnot. But I give Muslim the edge in regards to the striking. Two different kind of strikers, but I would rather have Muslim's striking. I think he's, like I said, he's dangerous and he's accurate and he's looking really good right now. Yeah, man. I've been back and forth on this fight. And you know what? I was actually thinking Zaleski at first. Like I said, been back and forth. I'm going to take Muslim, actually. I'm going to settle in with Muslim right now. If anything changes, like I said, I'm going to be doing another updated breakdown video. It's going to be a lot shorter, though. This is the legit one. I'm going to touch it up a little bit more. Probably going to stay the same, though. Everything I've been watching on him, man, watching his tape, running it back, he just looks so good in that Nordine Taleb fight. And I'm going to stick with that pick for now. So I will update you guys, though, on that. So Muslim, the king of Kung Fu, Salikhov. Now, this upcoming fight, man, we're going to be saying that for the rest of the card, man. We got a lot of exciting fights. Oh, man, look at this one. This is a sleeper fight right here. Volkan Oezdemir taking on Jiří Procházka, however you want to say that, the Czech Republican fighter. making the Czech fighter, making his UFC debut. This guy has actually been fighting a lot of big names outside the octagon. I've been enjoying watching fight tape on this guy because he participates in a lot of exciting fights, and he fights guys with big names. Guys that you guys should know about if you're into the fight game. CB Holloway, he just finished over in Rizin. Fabio Maldonado, the Brazilian boxer, who's really not in the level, but Muhammad Lawal, King Mo, who King Mo actually took him out years ago. He knocked him out, so he got redemption in that, knocked him out. I believe he retired King Mo there. Brandon Halsey. Brandon Halsey was a Bellator champion, I believe. Since left Bellator, he was fighting over at PFL, fighting over there in Rizin. Brandon Halsey is a guy. This is a middleweight fighter, and don't get it twisted. CB Holloway is a middleweight fighter too. Both those guys went up to light heavyweight, but those are two skilled opponents. Brandon Halsey looked like an absolute tank in that fight. Let's see if I can pull it up for you guys real quick. Yeah, this is him and Brandon Halsey throwing down, and they went back and forth. Halsey actually looked good in some spots, but eventually Jiří he finished him. So this guy is dangerous, man, and he's resilient too, man. He could be down and get down, getting beat up and whatnot, and then just come back and still work his magic. A very tough fighter, but he's got a big test in front of him, man. You guys know the deal with Volkan Oezdemir. We're gonna get to Volkan here in a minute, because obviously I'm very high in Volkan. You guys know that. I think he's an amazing fighter, and Volkan Oezdemir, he just took out the champion, right? I mean, he really did, right? Dominic Reyes, the light heavyweight champion of the world. Maybe some of you guys don't like to hear that, but Dominic Reyes won that fight. He won that fight. We could play games about the point system maybe or not. I still had Reyes winning 3 rounds, but completely outclassed John Jones. John Jones just showed to have better cardio, and he was more battle tested in the 5-round type of fight, and he was pressing him. But John Jones didn't do absolutely nothing in that fight. Didn't do absolutely anything, and whatever. I'm ranting here, but the point I was making actually was, it was funny because Volkan Oezdemir actually technically lost that fight to Dominic Reyes, but everybody knows that Volkan won that fight. I admit it too. Like I said, if you guys remember, I had a play on Dominic Reyes, so that was a wager I had, and I capitalized. I made money on that, but he lost that fight. I was actually in New Orleans, right over on Bourbon Street, man, and I watched that right before I hit the town up in the hotel. It was a fight card that took place early. It was a fight place that took place in England. It was actually when Jorge Masvidal knocked out Darren Till, I do believe. It was right after that. But the point I'm making, though, is that, Volkan, what he went out there and with the way he performed against Dominic Reyes, I think Volkan Oezdemir has been looking amazing. He's polishing up his grappling skills. Of course, the striking's always there. You guys know the striking's always there. Take a look at what Volkan has done recently. Like I said, should have won that fight. The Anthony Smith fight wasn't a good look, but he's polished up his grappling since then. Took out Alir Latifi. Looked good in the Alexander Rakic fight. Rakic is a guy I'm really high on, a guy that I think will eventually be possibly fighting for the title down the line or be right up there. So we're talking about high-level light heavyweight fighters. And now Volkan's taking on this guy. This is a real welcoming for Jiří, and I'm gonna go with Volkan Oezdemir. We'll pull up the line here, and Oezdemir is going to be coming in as a little bit of a favorite, right? You pretty much figured that, but right around minus 170, 165. The UFC newcomers, you can get him right around plus 150, plus 135, right around that range, 140. So if you're high on him, if you feel like this guy, might come in, get a victory in his debut, you're getting some value on it. These are big boys, right? The light heavyweight fighters, a lot of times it's unpredictable what's going to happen in there with these guys. You get 2 very skilled fighters. You never know what can happen. But I'm going to go with Volkan Oezdemir. I think Volkan Oezdemir gets this victory. I think Volkan is pressing his way towards a potential title shot, another title shot, right? He had one against Cormier, lost that fight. But he's, like I said, he's growing and he's getting better and better. So don't be surprised, man, if Volkan really makes a push, man. So the pick is Volkan Oezdemir. But I'll be excited to see how this guy performs. And again, take into consideration, man, he's been fighting some middleweight fighters that have been coming up to light heavyweight. Volkan Oezdemir is a true light heavyweight fighter, so it's gonna be a little different in there for him. A very polished striker, and but I'm excited for that fight. Oh, you guys are excited for this one, huh? I know you guys are excited for this one. Paige VanZant taking on Amanda Ribas. I think this is funny, man, because I think I know exactly what went on with this fight. I think that the UFC was getting fed up with Paige VanZant. I think Paige VanZant's been turning down a lot of fights, and she still has another fight on her contract, so she had to get that fight out of the way, and before she could try to move on to do whatever she's trying to do. I think that she's probably trying to get out of the UFC. She's looking for a big payday. She just put a video out recently talking about how she's not really getting paid what she would like to be paid. She makes almost as much money for an Instagram ad as she does fighting. She just, she loves fighting. She loves the game of fighting. So, that's why she's still doing it. And but I don't know how much she's gonna love the fight game. Not upcoming Saturday, the following Saturday. I don't know how much she's gonna love it then when she's locked inside a cage with Amanda Ribas, because Amanda Ribas is a spectacular fighter. You see the line here too, -700, a huge favorite, and probably reasonably so. Might be a little bit high, might be dangerous, and I'll touch upon why I think it might be possibly dangerous. Paige VanZant, you see her getting her training in with her guy friend over here. But the reason why I bring up a video like this is especially with the whole pandemic thing. You know that these guys, this couple right here, that they've had nothing but time to train together, and her boyfriend Austin Vanderford is a very, very skilled fighter, very skilled wrestler too. So that's the point I bring it up, the wrestling. Maybe Paige VanZant steps back in the octagon, spend some time, and maybe she impresses with her wrestling abilities. Maybe she can spoil the party, get some takedowns on Amanda Ribas, and you see her powerlifting. That's another thing too, man. Austin Vanderford is very big into to lifting weights and whatnot. He probably has her on a strict regimen. I'm sure Paige is very strong right now. You see them training right here, and it's just, I don't know, man. I think it's a little bit. It's too far of a reach for her. Amanda Ribas. This is a girl. I just saw her fight live. A couple fights ago for her against Mackenzie Dern. Completely outclassed Dern in that fight. I saw that fight over in Tampa. And Amanda Ribas, after that fight, she goes back into the octagon and she looks even better, right? Who did she just take on? Randa Marcos. Destroyed Randa Marcos. Randa Marcos is a tough outing. And we were talking about the possible wrestling abilities of Paige VanZant if she's been working on them or whatnot, but Randa Marcos is probably a better wrestler than Paige, and Randa couldn't do nothing with her wrestling. And I think we all pretty much know what we're going to see here. I think that we're going to see a bloodied up Paige VanZant. I think she's going to get beat up pretty bad. I think the UFC is going to part ways with her. They're not going to re-sign her, and we'll probably see her over in Bellator, or I think that's it, Bellator. Because she's not going to go to ONE FC. She ain't moving out to Asia or going to be fighting over in Asia and whatnot, especially for what's going on right now in the world. So maybe she gets signed with Bellator, or maybe they figure it out. But the UFC, I think, strategically matched her up with this savage right here, Amanda Ribas. So they know for contract negotiations and whatnot, Paige VanZant's coming off a loss, and you don't have as much weight to throw around when you're negotiating, when you're coming off a loss, right? And real quick, I just want to pull up what Paige VanZant's been doing recently. Yeah, she had the armbar victory over Rachel Ostovich back in 2019, and that was in January of 2019. That was a year and a half ago. Let's not forget, that's a year and a half ago. That's some time. She lost to Jessica Rose Clark. I had Jessica Rose Clark in that fight as the dog. That was a nice pick. I actually had a wager on that. For those of you guys that have been following me from the beginning, that was one of my first plays I gave to you guys. Jessica Rose Clark to upset Paige VanZant. Michelle Waterson finished her off. The Beck Rawlings fight was a big fight for Paige. She had that crazy kick, and then she took her down and whatever, and beat her up a little bit. Rose Namajunas, that's when everyone really realized that Paige was not in the level. So Paige is probably going to get beat up. And there'll be an enjoyment to watch, I think. I think a lot of people will be excited to see her just step in there regardless, right? People like to watch her fight. And I think they're going to like to watch both these girls fight, because Ribas is going to make a name for herself too. That was a smart move for the UFC too, right? Making her fight Paige VanZant, because after Ribas wins, she'll start to have a bigger name herself too. All right. We got some more chicks throwing down in this next fight. Ooh. Let's see. We got a rematch, man. I know you guys remember the last time these girls threw down. Jéssica Andrade taking on Rose Namajunas the second time around. And how crazy was it the last time these girls threw down? I did have Jéssica Andrade to win the fight. I did hit that bet. It was not looking good for Andrade towards the beginning of that fight. I was sitting right over here, and I was really upset. I was like, she's going to lose. She's going to lose. It would have been a profitable night for me regardless. So I hit my first 2 bets that night, I believe, and then I made it a 3-for-3 night. But I thought this fight was done for. I thought I was going to lose. All of a sudden, Andrade picks up Thug Rose and slams her on her head. I do not know why Rose tried to hold on to that key lock as long as she did. And she paid for it, right? But before that, like I said, Rose Namajunas was absolutely picking her apart. I expect Rose to go in there and do the same thing again. I think that Rose is going to outstrike her. I think that Rose is going to learn from her mistake, I think that was a real learning lesson for her. She was in the octagon talking about that she was going to retire after that fight. She got slammed on her head so hard. Thug Rose, in my opinion, is a very fragile girl. It's kind of strange, right? Because Thug Rose is a girl that a lot of people like. I like watching her fight too. I think she's a cool chick. She's a little different, but she's a girl that if you saw her on The Ultimate Fighter, if you see how she acts, like when McGregor threw that thing through the glass, she was traumatized about some glass falling on her. It wasn't even like she had glass in her eyes and like she was like physically messed up. She was mentally messed up. I think that really showed what kind of girl she is. I really can't relate to stuff like that. I don't know, maybe I got a little bit thicker skin, and I know girls have thicker skin than that. But it's crazy because she has thick enough skin that she goes in the octagon and she throws down. So got to give her credit in that aspect. But mentally, I don't know. She sits there and she plays the piano, on the embeddeds and whatnot, and she just seems like a different type of chick. And I kind of worry about her mental state at times. And Andrade is a girl that already has slammed her unconscious. I wouldn't be surprised if Thug Rose is doing her thing, styling on the feet again, and something else happens. If Andrade all of a sudden gets a takedown, maybe works some ground and pound. Now this is it's a 3-round fight, so Andrade is gonna have to do something, pretty quick in there. She can't be wasting time while Rose is picking her apart, winning rounds. And I'm going with Thug Rose to win the fight. Like I said, I think Thug Rose is too technical on the feet. Thug Rose has good jiu-jitsu too, but needs to be careful that Andrade doesn't hold her down and beat her up. All right. Now we got the big 3. This is gonna be exciting to break down, man. We got the big 3, and we're starting off with Petr taking on José Aldo. This is a fight that I think is the right fight. I thought José Aldo won his last fight against Marlon Moraes. So José Aldo is a legend in the game. He moved down to bantamweight, and I thought he looked very good. I thought he won that fight, and I think it's completely reasonable to give him a title shot. This is a guy that's really put in work for years. He's 33 years old, but he's been through so many wars. He's been through the fight game for so long. You don't want to waste too much time with him. Give him a chance to try to hold gold again. Lost to Alexander Volkanovski. Volkanovski's the truth, right? Over there in the featherweight division. Marlon Moraes, I thought he won that fight. So you're talking about, he won 3, in my opinion, he won 3 of his last 4 fights. Took out Jeremy Stevens, took out Renato Moicano. And then the other 2 losses were to Holloway and McGregor. Amazing fighters, right? He's fighting the top of the line fighters. Took out Frankie Edgar again, Chad Mendes, all these guys. You take a look at what Aldo's been doing for years. Frankie Edgar, Chad Mendes, Kenny Florian, Korean Zombie, Ricardo Lamas, Mark Hominick, Uriah Faber, Cub Swanson. That Cub Swanson fight, this was a fight. This is when I really started to become a big José Aldo fan. There you see when he hit Cub Swanson with a flying knee. This was over in the WEC. My favorite promotion of all time. If you guys don't know about the WEC, oh man, you guys missed out big time. When I was in college, man, back 2007, 2008, 2009, all that time, man, even, past that. The WEC fights were the best fights, man. I loved it. Used to be on that channel called Versus, and Aldo was the man. He was the man. He beat up Uriah Faber in the last ever WEC event, chewed up his legs. But he hit Cub. If you want to see a nasty knockout, watch the Cub Swanson flying knee, and then boom, you see it right there. He's ripping him with the shots. But Aldo is a legend. Poor Aldo, though. What McGregor did to him. Really, he threw some coffee on his shirt. Stained his shirt. That's always going to be something that sticks with Aldo. You know, people kind of looked at him a little bit differently after that, you know, because he went from being just a straight untouchable legend, possible, you know, greatest of all time in the division and whatnot, and then McGregor just threw coffee and Gatorade all over his white tee. So that was tough for him. And now he's taking on Petr Yan. And this guy is a G. That's what I think of this guy. Look at his son. His son looks like Popeye. Looks like Popeye the Sailor Man, and he's only like 5 years old. This is the seeds he's squirting out. He has another one. I hope it's a boy for him. That's awesome if he's shooting out boys like that. I mean, look at his wife. This guy is a winner. This guy, he's over there in Bangkok shooting out kids. The virus is going on. He don't give a damn. He's training in Thailand, shooting out kids, walking out the same day probably. She probably squirted that kid out, and they walked right out the door. You take a look at him here. Look at him. Look at. He ain't scared of Cody Garbrandt. He ain't scared. You think he's scared of Cody Garbrandt? You know what happens if he fights Cody? He puts Cody to sleep. He tucks him in the bed, you know, pulls the sheets over him, gives him a little kiss in the forehead, and then he walks out of the room, turns the light off. Let's not get that twisted for a second. Yan is going to be the new champion, and he's going to be running the show for a long time. I've been saying this from the beginning. You can run the tape back. Go to every single one of my breakdowns of Petr Yan over any of his fights since he's been in the UFC. I've been making money off this guy since his UFC debut. You know, when he came into the UFC, he had very limited amount of fights. I think he only had one loss coming into the UFC, and he redeemed that loss. And that guy was actually a pretty skilled opponent, and it was a weird loss too. He's 14-1 now, 27 years old. You guys are going to be stuck with this guy for some time. Just knocked out Uriah Faber. But look, you go back to here. Magomedov. He lost that split decision, came back and won the rematch. This guy is 16-1. This guy is the Tiger. This guy, you might not know about this guy, but this is a real fighter right here. Do not get it twisted. So he's still going out there finishing guys. He's in ACB. It's a big Russian organization. Hopefully the UFC can get their hands on him. Somehow they got their hands on Yan, and I'm happy about it because obviously you guys can tell I'm ranting, but I'm a big Yan fan. I think that that was a really close fight. He probably should have won that fight. Should be undefeated right now. And remember the Jin Soo Son fight? That was a funny fight. The Korean fighter kept putting his face out there. He was all bloodied up. But Yan just ended up, taking over as the fight went on. Douglas Andrade, tough guy. John Dodson, that was a nasty fight. He beat him up. Jimmy Rivera was a good fight. Uriah Faber put him to sleep. And I think that we're seeing Petr Yan grow in front of our eyes too. I think you're going to see growth in there every time he fights. And I think he's going to possibly get the finish here against Aldo. That's what he brings to the table, 5-round fight. And yeah, I mean, this is a big time fight right here. It's for the championship. And José Aldo, we've seen what Max Holloway has done to him. Aldo, he has some wear and tear on his body. And Yan, he just made a steal, this guy. Training over at Tiger Muay Thai over there in Bangkok. His striking's going to get better and better. He's just nasty, man, with the Muay Thai. I like Petr Yan to win this fight. If you guys can't tell. He's a beast. This guy's a beast. I like guys like this, man. Real men's men too, This guy don't mess around, He carries himself like a man. I like that. Throws his weight around, Whether it's in the back, in the cage. Big fan of this guy. I think, like I said, get used to seeing him around for a while holding gold. Big fight, man, though. Big fight. So we're going from one championship fight to another. How about that? Another championship fight. Alexander Volkanovski taking on Max Holloway. And the rematch, right? Wasn't really a good look for Max in the first fight. So coming in as a plus 170, I think reasonably so. I like Volkanovski a lot. I think Volkanovski's the real deal. This guy is he's a tank. You take a look at him over back in his rugby days. Look how thick this guy was. He's a moose, this guy. And now he's all lean and shredded out, and he's just a warrior. Striking is getting better every time he steps in there. I think this guy is deserving of his nickname, The Great. This guy is a great fighter. And I've been love watching this guy fight ever since he stepped into the octagon the first time. Who was that fight? I think it was was it Japanese fighter? Yeah. Kasuya whipped all these guys up. Mizuto Hiroto, the Pug. His nickname's the Pug. He has the Pug tattoo. Then he just started whipping all these guys. Jeremy Kennedy, a young prospect, Darren Elkins, Chad Mendes, José Aldo, Holloway. And then it's going to be another win over Holloway again. That's what I see happening. Dude is a stud. Just as tough as he is and as durable as he is, but people sleep on his technique and his skills. The striking's there, extremely accurate. Excellent reach, right, for his frame. The way that he's built, he's short, but the reach is very good too. This guy is just dangerous. Max Holloway's been through so many wars. Great cardio. Holloway's always going to keep coming forward, but Holloway's been eating so many shots as of recently. You saw him in the Poirier fight, and I don't know, man. I think maybe we see Holloway's lights get put out maybe sometime down the line. I don't know. You know, those Hawaiian fighters are extremely tough. Remember Cabbage Correa? All those Hawaiian guys are made of something different. But how much damage can you take for all those years? The volume's always there. Holloway will be coming in. There were some rumors that Holloway didn't get the training that he wanted going into that first fight. He's going to be more prepared this time. I don't know about that. I don't think it matters. I think Volkanovski wins the fight, period. Yeah, got Volkanovski to win the fight. The great. All right. Speaking of great fighters, it's going to be a good one. This is going to be a really good one here, too. We got the main event of the evening. You guys are familiar with Gilbert Burns. You guys know I'm always preaching about Gilbert Burns. I've been riding his coattails for a while, and I've been collecting dog money on him time and time again, right? Against Damian Maia, against Woodley. Woodley was easy money. I preached you guys like crazy. Made some big money on that fight. And now he's coming in as a plus 175 dog, right around that big dog money, big dog range again. And he's taking on Kamaru Usman this time, though. But there's some variables in this fight that I want to let you guys know. I want to make sure you guys are all aware. So these guys, of course, you guys know they train at the same camp with a guy who I think is one of the best coaches in the game over at Hard Knocks 365. One of the best striking coaches in Henry Hooft. And Henry Hooft is not training either of these guys for this fight camp. So what I found out, though, is Kamaru Usman is training over there with Justin Gaethje and all those guys, Trevor Whitman. So, that's how nasty is that? Take a little quick look. You see these guys scrambling. How dangerous is that? Justin Gaethje and Usman sharpening their swords together. Gaethje's a beast. Look at him. Putting in that work. So that cardio is going to be on point for Usman. That cardio is going to be on point. You got to talk about the Colby versus Usman fight. Just rewatched that entire fight about 2 days ago or whatnot, a day or two ago. And look, dude, I like Colby. I like what Colby brings to the table. He talks crap. I think he's a spectacular fighter. I'm a big Usman fan too. I think Usman is a stud of a fighter. I think his grappling and striking, he's so well rounded. Made money off him time and time again. I had Colby winning that fight. I had Colby even winning that 5th round up until he got caught. So, in my opinion, Colby was about to be the new champion, but Usman dug deeper. I did not like the stoppage in that fight, but I don't know how it would have went if they would have let it continue. Usman probably would have got the proper stoppage regardless. And the bottom line is Colby, he dropped the ball and he folded in that fight because he got dropped and he did get folded, and he should never let that happen. And he made a mistake. So. But the point I bring that up is because, in my opinion, these are top 3, because we got to talk about Burns too. Burns threw his name into the mix too now, but we're talking about the top fighters in the welterweight division on planet Earth. And at the time when these guys were fighting, I think they were definitely the 2 best welterweight fighters in the world. But now, Gilbert Burns has definitely put his name into the hat as well. And I think that Gilbert Burns is very live here. You saw what he went out there and did to Woodley. I told you guys he was going to destroy Woodley. Like I said, I told all you guys I thought he was going to whoop Woodley, and he did. He really did. He really came into his own in the welterweight division. Of course, he had some setbacks over at lightweight. That division obviously was not for him. He's really filled into the welterweight division, and now he's coming into this fight. Let's bring it up again. You can get him plus 175, plus 190. You can get Usman at minus 230, minus 232. I think the value is on Burns. I don't like the fact that as far as for Burns' sake, I don't know if Burns is getting the same type of training that Usman is over there with Trevor Whitman and Gaethje and all that, up at altitude. And then you got Burns. I gotta see who he's really mixing it up with. I really want to know who's his main training partners right now. This is a tough one. This is a real tough fight right now. It's hard to go against Burns when Burns has made me so much money over the last 2 fights of his, and he's there at dog odds. On I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm not going to make an official pick on this main event right now. I'm not going to make an official pick. I'm going to be giving you guys my pick on the next pre-show breakdown video. I'm going to be doing one more, like I said. It's going to be a lot quicker. I'm just going to touch upon these fights one more time, okay? I'm going to keep prying into. There's going to be a lot of information going down over the next 2 weeks, right? These guys are traveling all the way over to Abu Dhabi. I want to pry into some more information. I want to look a little bit more into the Gilbert Burns training situation, and I want to get back to you on my pick for the main event. So you guys stick with me on that. As of right now, though, the value looks like it's on Burns, in my opinion, and there's a real possibility I'm going to pick Burns to win this fight, all right? I'll give you guys a sneak peek. But again, I might be going with Usman, too. Usman getting training with Gaethje over there and Whitman over at Altitude, and Usman is the champ. He's the champ right now. Took out Colby. How do you pick against him, right? So it's going to be some more homework that's done before I make my decision, all right? So that's gonna wrap up the main event, man. Everybody that hung around, man, all the way to the end of this video, I appreciate all of you guys. Again, the fight companion is going to be going down for the main card, and check this out. The main card starting at 10 p.m., which in my opinion makes it more exciting. It's a really long card, you know, with the all the championship fights, man, 5-round fights. The fight companions, it goes down with the fight companions. You guys got to come join me, come join us, come join the crew. I always say it, man. Bring your drinks, bring your smoke, whatever you guys do. Or if you don't do none of that, just put the fights on, man. We'll just chill. We'll talk everything fight related, anything that's interesting. And it's a good time. But again, main card starts at 10 p.m. That's when the fight companion will be going down. And I'm going to have some solid bets locked in here. If you guys are interested in my selections, I do charge. If you guys don't realize that, for my selections, my bet selections, I do charge. If you're interested, email me at MMAfortuneteller@gmail.com, or Instagram is a good way to get a hold of me too. MMAfortuneteller_. Shoot me a DM. But I'm gonna have some plays put together for this card. I'm ready. Finalizing some stuff over here. All right. So that's gonna wrap up the breakdown video. I appreciate all you guys as always, man. I don't say that for nothing. I truly appreciate all of you guys. The Teller would be nothing without you guys, man. I appreciate all you guys that tune in to all my weekly breakdown videos. My MMA live discussion, you see it there. MMA live discussion, of course, is going down this Thursday. I already gave some sneak peeks on the guests I'm gonna have. I'm gonna have some exciting guests for you guys. One of the guys running the bare knuckle FC scene right now, Jim Ehlers, the beast. He's a true beast too. Probably get Jim Ehlers on the show possibly this upcoming Thursday. What's his name? The guy that just had that made his UFC debut, Justin James. That guy's a stud. Possibly gonna have him on this Thursday. Talking with a couple guys, possibly Maurice Green. And just stay tuned. You know, I'll share the news with you guys on Instagram very very soon. And besides having them on, we're gonna do a little pre-show pre-show talk for the card and stuff. So any questions you guys have, bring your questions this upcoming Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern time for MMA Live Discussion Episode 9. And that's gonna wrap up the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, please like this video and hit subscribe to the channel. And you guys have a good night. Signing out, the Teller.